The sermon this weekend is entitled Staying Curious and Taking the Challenge. And I want to do those two things as a community, as a congregation during August. I want us to stay curious. I want us to stay curious about the world around us. I want us to stay curious about ourselves. I want us to feel the playfulness and the freedom we need to ask the big, interesting questions about who we are and where we're headed. And I also want to encourage you to take a challenge. I do want it to be a challenging month. And one of the challenges that we're going to encourage you to take during August is the challenge of connecting your faith with matters of race in America. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but I want to mention it up top because it is one of the important things that we're going to work on together during August. And I think these two things together, it's important to do them together. To take the challenge, to ask ourselves what our faith in God, this God who loves us in Jesus Christ, what does that have to do with matters of race and racism and reconciliation? But to do that, we're going to have to stay curious. If we don't stay in a posture of curiosity, of wanting to learn, wanting to grow, wanting to know more, wanting to push out towards the edge of what's familiar to us, if we don't do that, either we're not going to take the challenge, which is possible, or it's just going to feel like a burden. It's going to feel like all work and no joy, and that's not good either. So it's not always fun to start over. It's not always easy to start over. Sometimes you feel like, I've put in so much work to get where I am. I value my life. I appreciate my family, my community, my tradition. And I have a bunch of habits built up about the way I talk, about the way I relate to people, about what I value, about the news sources I rely on. And that's a lot of momentum traveling in one direction. So it would be hard to start over. I get it. I think the same thing in many ways about my own life. But I will ask you this. I wonder if it also might be really renewing, really joy-filled, really exciting to give ourselves permission to just start over. Maybe that's what August can be for us, kind of a reboot in a way. And here's the honest truth. I would not be asking you to take this journey in August if I thought it was going to be nothing but a difficult burden. That's not what I want our August to feel like. If it was all work, all sweat and tears, right? I would not ask you to do this. I would change it or alter it. I would put it at some other place. I'd move it back to another month or later in the year. But that's not the way I feel about this. I think this can be really fun and really interesting. I think if we can stay curious, if we can stay in this mode of sort of asking ourselves questions, how do I want to be? Do I want to stay in this track? Do I want to stay flexible? Do I maybe want to move in some new directions? I think this can be a really playful, enjoyable month. In a way, sort of giving each other permission to ask some of the largest questions about how our lives are structured and what we value and how we want to connect and engage with our neighbors, black, brown, and white, and who we want to be as a community, as a congregation, and as a country. These are big questions, but sometimes you just need permission to take a little retreat, to invest some time in ourselves, in engaging with some good resources, and giving ourselves time and space to see where we want to move next. I think our scripture readings for this weekend are helpful and illuminating. The reading from Genesis is a story that you probably are familiar with. Jacob gets a new name. We've been reading about Jacob lately. But in this story, Jacob gets a new name. His name is changed to Israel, which means struggle or wrestling. That's the image of the story. So Jacob is headed to meet up in what will be a very difficult relational confrontation with his brother Esau. And he sends his family and all his possessions across the Jabbok River, and then he stays by himself. So he's in a stressful moment. I mean, he is living in conflict, and he goes to sleep. And during the night, he ends up being confronted with a stranger, and he ends up wrestling all night long with an angel of God. Strange story, right? During the night, during that wrestling match, he demands a blessing. He wants God's blessing like you do and like I do. But the angel keeps wrestling with him. They wrestle all night. He's worn out. He's exhausted by the morning. And the angel of God agrees to bless him. But before leaving him before daybreak, the angel touches his hip socket and puts it out of joint so that Jacob walks away from that night and into the rest of his life, we're told, with a limp. His life will bear the marks of that struggle, of that wrestling match. But that's how you receive a blessing. Now, I think this is a powerful story for us because I'm just like a lot of you. I want God to be for me a comfortable resting place. I want faith to make my life easier, smoother. I want it to rid me of conflict. I want church to be a place where I can relax and laugh and connect with people I love. I would really love it if the life of faith worked that way, but that's not the way it works. That's not what we were promised. Here's the story that defines the people of Israel for the whole Hebrew Bible, right? This is where they get their name. They get their name from Jacob, Israel, the people who will struggle, the people who will wrestle God for blessings. So I think that story is helpful as we head into this month of trying to stay curious, trying to take up a new challenge, trying to grow and expand in our understanding of how to connect faith to the troubling issues of race in America, because it helps us understand that, yeah, this probably will take some work on our part. This will feel like a struggle. This will feel like a wrestling match, but that's how the blessings come. The pain and the joy, they will come together for us. Our reading from Romans is interesting in light of the coming month too. The Apostle Paul is a Jew, and he's here reflecting on his Jewish identity, on who he's become as a Jewish person, part of the Jewish race, as he calls it. The Jewish people have all the promises, all the blessings, all the covenants, all the gifts of law, the gifts of a way of life. And yet he's having to, now that he's become a Jesus follower and is helping lead some of these small upstart congregations full of both Jews and non-Jews, he's having to wrestle with who he is as a Jewish person. How flexible can he become? How much spaciousness, how much room is there in his identity, in who he's become, to adapt and grow and move? And he's having to figure out that there needs to be a lot of movement. Now, not all of Paul's peers and companions could find that flexibility. Some didn't. Now, I know as we head into this month, there may be some of you who can't do this. I'll talk in just a minute about some of the resources that we're going to provide as a sort of way to provoke your thought and voices to listen to help you think critically about where you are and where you want to go. There may be some of you who don't want to do this, who feel like emotionally you can't do this right now. It's okay. It's okay. You're still a beloved part of our community. This may not be the right time for you. I think others of you will start this journey a bit out of obligation, a bit assuming it's going to be a burden. And I think you're going to see as you begin moving through the month and trying out some of these resources, that you're going to come alive. That it's going to strike a chord with you, that it's going to give you time to ask some really interesting questions that maybe your family background, your church background, your cultural background has never given you permission to ask, never given you time to explore, and I think you're going to love it. There are others of you that are ready for this, that have been asking me for this. Hey, what can we do? We need resources. We need help. This is such a lively issue, the issue of race in America right now. We need, as a community of faith, to be thinking about this. So some of you are primed and ready to go, and you'll eat these resources up, and it will be good for you too. This morning, I want to spend just a little bit of time introducing you to a graphic that I hope to keep before us for the rest of this month. The graphic will be on our website, it'll be on social media, it's in some of our print stuff. I'll throw an image of it up here in this video so you can see what I'm talking about. The graphic is entitled Becoming Anti-Racist. It's a series of nested circles, and there's an arrow indicating that the whole graphic is about learning to see growth and discovery in terms of race, learning to see it as a process and as a journey. So let me say a few things about the importance of this graphic, and I'll try to keep reminding you of this for the whole month. Here's the first thing. You can start from wherever you are, and wherever you are is good. You're not where I am. I'm not where you are. We're all at different places. We're all at different ages, maybe raised in different generations. Maybe we carry different baggage with regard to issues of race. That's okay. We don't have to start at the same point. And here's the other thing. Maybe this is even more important. We don't have to end at the same point. You won't be given a test at the end of this. You don't have to pass an exam. And you certainly don't have to aspire to something like perfection, right? Reach some idealistic goal. You're a person who no longer has a racist bone in your body. I don't think we're going to get there in a month. And that's okay. That's not the point, right? Let's don't make this challenging but enjoyable work paralyzing and unnecessarily painful by adding unnecessary expectations. So this is a journey. You can start wherever you are. You can end up wherever you end up. And that passage, that movement between where you start and then where you end up, that's not built in ahead of time either. I don't know how much movement there will be for you. I don't know how much movement there will be for me, but it doesn't have to be the same. Maybe I only move an inch, but you move a foot. That's fine. There's no pace at which you have to move. So I want to free you up. There aren't any built-in expectations about what this is going to do for you. What this is going to do for you is give you time and space during the month of August in 2020, when we're still online and where most of us are spending a little bit more time at home than we wished, giving you time to engage with some really interesting, really provocative voices. So remember, this is a journey, and you're free to start it as the person you are and move at a pace that makes sense for you. And what will happen at the end will be good, because we do all this as a form of prayer, asking God to guide us and shape us into the kind of people God wants us to be, so that we can be God's friends in the world, partnering with God, doing the work that God has called us to do. So just a quick word on why the graphic focuses on becoming anti-racist. Some of the resources that you'll have available to you are content by Dr. Ibram Kendi. One of the reasons he's been helpful for me is he has really emphasized and foregrounded this language of being anti-racist. That's the goal, to become anti-racist. So you'll notice that inherent in this language of anti-racism is the denial that there's something called non-racism. So this is hard. You don't have to figure it out today. You have a whole month to kind of explore what this means. But I want to get the concept on the table today. So Dr. Ibram Kendi will challenge us in much of what he says this month and some of the podcasts and the articles, that there is no such thing as a non-racist. There's only racist beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, and policies, and anti-racist attitudes, beliefs, actions, and policies. There's no zone called non-racist. So what's a racist? A racist is someone who believes that some races are superior to others. A racist is someone who believes in a hierarchy of value where some people are more valuable than others. That's what a racist believes. What are racist policies? Racist policies are policies that give expression to that racist belief, that some people are more important than others, right? So there are racist beliefs about hierarchies of value. Some people are more important than others. There are racist politics, racist policies, right? Those are policies that express those racist beliefs, right? So if that's what a racist is, there's no way to be non-racist, right? You can't just check out and go on the sidelines. It doesn't work. That position literally doesn't exist. It's a fiction. It's a myth. And many of us, white people, have utilized this myth our whole lives. Well, like, I'm not a progressive. I'm not a radical. I'm not a protester. I mean, I'm not sort of stirring things up. But I'm not a racist. I'm just kind of neutral. I'm a non-racist. I'm sort of a middle-of-the-road person. Well, one of the big challenges this month is to give ourselves the opportunity to explore this new challenge, that's a story we've been telling ourselves that is simply not true. Now, it makes us feel good because it lets us off the hook and it saves us from doing some really hard work. But the only options are racism or anti-racism. So becoming an anti-racist is about cultivating a set of beliefs, values, and attitudes that rejects that hierarchical view that some people are more valuable than others. It is an active posture in the world that we are all, no matter what color we are, no matter what ethnicity, what culture we are all equally God's children and equally deserving of care, respect, and dignity. Anti-racist beliefs are that brown people are beautiful, black people are beautiful, white people are beautiful. We're all beautiful together and worthy of dignity. Anti-racist politics and policies are a posture of arguing for and voting for policies that express that anti-racist vision of life, where there is no hierarchy. We are all equally full of dignity, equally worthy of care. Okay, finally, let me say something about this 21-day race equity challenge and how it works. First of all, where did we get this idea? It's not my idea. There are lots of different versions of the 21-day challenge. Someone told me the other day they're doing a 21-day, diet-related challenge. So this is a 21-day race equity challenge. We didn't come up with this. We are simply borrowing both the concept of the challenge and the tools and resources from other people who've already done it before. You'll find some of this out when you look at our resource page. So a number of Presbyterian congregations have done the 21-day race equity challenge, and to be quite honest, I did lots of borrowing from what's already been done. So here's how it works. You'll need to find your way to our resource page, which is on our website. So fpcfs.org/21-day challenge, 21-day-challenge. But actually, I've just made that the home page for our website, so it shouldn't be difficult to find. But on that page are all the resources I'm talking about for the month of August. And And if you have trouble finding that page, just let us know. We'll help you figure it out. Just call the office or email us. The link to it will be posted on social media all through the month. So when you go to that page, our 21-day Race Equity Challenge, what you'll see is a listing of all kinds of resources. There are things to listen to. So there's audio content. There are things to watch. There is video content, and there are things to read. So articles online. There's no structure. You approach these 21 days in a way that makes sense for you. The challenge is, will you take this challenge? Will you commit to choosing one of those resources each day for 21 days during August? The other part of the challenge is I challenge you to find a way to reflect on what you're experiencing, what you're learning, what you're thinking. So to me, that's some form of journal, whether you're writing in it or keeping a journal online or however you do it. But I mean, journals may not work for you. You may have some better idea. That's fine. But I do challenge you to be reflecting on your experience of moving through the month and engaging with some of these resources. And then we will provide some experiences where we can engage with one another. I'll mention 2 right now, and if we need others, we can add them. But so on every Tuesday at noon during the month of August, our Zoom call will be devoted to folks who want to jump on, hear from other people about what they're reading, what they're experiencing, what they're thinking, troubles they're having, successes they're having, all that. Tuesdays at noon through the month of August. And then we're also going to devote towards the end, August 23rd on a Sunday, we'll have a Sunday morning Zoom. So regular church time, if we are meeting face-to-face, we'll do a Zoom that's sort of meant to be a sort of a month-in wrap-up to just jump on and share stories about what the month was like for us. So I look forward to that. And they don't have to be success stories like I'm a new person, God completely remade me, I have no challenges. No, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be stories about our struggles and our wrestles and where we don't have things resolved yet, what we haven't figured out yet, what we're still frustrated or angry about. That's fine. So one final thing I'll say is you might want to do this together. You might want to grab a group of friends in the community. It doesn't need to be people who are a part of our congregation and say, hey, I'm interested in doing this 21-day challenge. Anyone want to do it with me so we can talk about it every day as we move through it? You might want to find some other people in the congregation, a group of 2 or 3 or 4, and say, hey, let's team up and do this together so that we can email back and forth or talk together about what's going on. So I hope you have a good month. It will be challenging, but it will be fun. Last thing I'll say, I was reading an article this week about the importance of mindfulness for young elementary kids. Researchers found that mindfulness, the ability to be present, to be aware of what they're feeling in their bodies, is important for kids as young as kindergarten and first grade. So some schools are instituting mindfulness training, breathing techniques where they ask the kids to slow down at various points in the day, take deep breaths, do body scans, think about where are they holding the tension in their body. They're finding out that mindfulness is incredibly helpful, but in order for it to be helpful, they have to make sure that the kids get one thing, and that is what they call the failure mindset. That is, failure is the goal. Failure is built into the whole process. If kids expect to engage in mindfulness working towards perfection, it will never work. They have to assume that the school day will just be nothing but a cycle of failures. They will be able to focus for a short time on a task, then they will lose their focus. They'll sort of come undone. They'll unravel. They'll have to then engage in some of their mindfulness techniques, their body scans, their breathing exercises. So focus, loss of focus, refocus. A cycle of failure and regrouping that will just stay with them all day long. But if they come to expect that that's what the day will feel like, sort of a series of repeated failures and then regrouping, then they're set up for success as a student who knows how to sort of lose it, but then get it back together so they can keep learning during the school day. Maybe that image will be helpful to you this August. Just assume failure for yourself, for us as a congregation, as a community. We're going to make a few steps forward. we're going to fall down, we're going to take a few steps back, we're going to regroup, we're going to do it again. This will be a cycle for us. And may God's Spirit be with us as we tumble, as we struggle, as we wrestle forward. May we do it with curiosity. May we do it with playfulness. And may we do it together. God bless you as we head into this week and this new month. Amen.